like the fact that the way that we've done things lately, like we know this already, but we don't talk about what we're going to talk about. We kind of just say this is the topic, and you shoot it out there, and you're like, yeah, that sounds good, or I can relate. That's something that's going on for me. So I have no idea what's going to come out of you, and I have a feeling based on that brief conversation, it's going to be wildly different than where I went with what you see is what you get.
Well, I'm really looking forward to hearing what prompted your
Yeah,
suggestion.
yours sounds more upbeat than mine, so I kind of want to hear yours first, and then I can drag us down into the mud a little bit. What you
All
see is
right,
what you
well,
get.
okay, let's go with what that activated in my brain, which was we make so many assumptions about what we see, and it's never usually the truth. And yet, when
Interesting.
we make the assumption, it becomes our truth.
Give me an example.
So when we assume that someone's going to be really super friendly and engaging with us, we absolutely get that. When
Oh,
we
like your expectation matches reality.
yeah. So if we assume that it's going to be hard work to do something and it's just going to be, oh God, do I have to? That's what we create because we see it as hard work. So we make it hard work. So that was the concept that got activated in my brain when I saw that. And I actually thought it was really timely, almost preemptive for me. Oh, I know we've gone without doing some renovation stories for a while. However, it is a feature in my life. Uh, we are currently, my ensuite got demolished during the week and it has now got the floor tiles on. The wall tiles are going on today. I'm very, very excited by that. It also means that every other room is progressing. What that means is that tomorrow morning, so all day Saturday and half of Sunday, we will be painting. We are going to be doing the walls, the ceiling, and all the cornices. That could be a lot of hard work. So every time I walk in that room and I go, oh, and I've got that section to do, and oh, I've got that section to do. Oh, I have to do those things as well. And what happened was at the beginning of the week, I was like, okay, Rens, if we're going to do this by Saturday, like we ready to get up Saturday morning and just paint, we have to have bogged all of the little nooks and crannies that, happen in the wall that then need to be bogged and then need to be sanded and then need to be undercoated. And I needed him to do the bogging and the sanding, and then I'd have to wait and do the undercoat. And then I've got to fit it in around my busy life because, of course, life still happens. So everything's been a bit, oh, this is going to be hard slog this weekend. But it doesn't have to be if I choose to see it differently.
Correct. So your expectation at the moment is that it's going to be hard work. So it's going to be hard work. And it's going to take forever.
Yep. And will I get it done? And will we finish by 1 o'clock on Sunday? Because, then we have to go and do something else. So, oh, yeah, you can hear it, can't you? It's ridiculous. Um, yeah, I know better. I know better. I know that when I see something and whatever energy I give that thing, whether it's a person, whether it's a situation, whether it's, oh, it's going to be hard, I bring that energy and I make it come true.
Why do you think that you've already put it out there as the expectation that it's going to be hard work?
Oh, good question. Based on history, which is so not a valid thing to do, but let's go there anyway.
Yeah.
Based based on history, my body gets really achy and sore because I have to put it in weird positions to paint above my head and then my arm gets sore because I'm holding it above my heart and my blood pressure goes weird and so many stories. And just because that happened 6 months ago when I did painting doesn't actually mean it's going to happen now. But I immediately associate any previous painting experiences to what it will be now.
Right. And you're probably picking the worst ones.
Of course. Yes, because that would equal the hard work.
Have you had painting experiences that weren't hard work?
Yes. In fact, a more recent painting experience was actually really easy, and I was really impressed with my body. I was proud of my own physical body because I was kneeling down and getting up without doing the old person creaks and groans. So, and that was like literally, I don't know, 5 days ago.
Okay.
So my physical body is actually in really good
Condition.
form for painting. Don't know if it's in, 100% amazing condition, but for painting, it was giving me the feedback 5 days ago that I'm good to go,
Okay.
that I've got this. Yeah.
So seeing is believing is kind of how you've been your previous experience has told you that it's going to be hard. But what you want to do is to believe that it's going to be something different.
Yes. And so it's curious, isn't it? Why do I focus on, I'm going to make it just me for the minute, but I'm sure I'm not the only one. I focus on the negative history from 6 months ago and 12 months ago compared to what I actually experienced 5 days ago, which was actually really kind of, oh, that was easy. Why do we do that? So there you go. That's why I currently think it's going to be hard. So,
So
my focus, yeah, but it's not just what I'm focusing on. It's about what the belief systems are that are sitting behind the scenes that impact the way I see that focus.
and how is that influencing your situation here?
Well, my belief systems are being put into question and probably being put back in their place, where they don't have to exist due to your questions. Look at you asking all those really good
Look at me
questions.
asking questions, kind of the thing that I do, right? So yeah, interesting. It's funny because honestly, I don't know the answer that's coming back, right? So I always often try to ask a question for people to find more clarity in themselves, as opposed to me trying to really get it for me. So I'm agnostic to what the response is.
Well, that's the best questions, isn't it? It's the letting go of what you like we can often, this is getting sidetracked a little, but we often, when we ask questions, we have the answer already and we think we know what the answer is going to
Oh, that's
be.
because our ego tells us that we know where this person needs to go already. So I'm gonna ask them a question that will get them to my answer so that I can be right, and then we can go down like what the advice path or whatever we decide to do. So yeah.
That's,
I,
yeah, yes. But we
I'm
don't see you doing that ever,
oh, I
actually,
do
in
do
all my
that, but
years.
professionally, I do a really good job at not doing that.
Yes.
In my real
Yeah.
life, trust me, with my kids and my wife, I've got all the answers. Yeah. Don't you think this would be a good idea? Direct, direct, direct. Nope.
It's totally in the phrasing, isn't it?
Yeah. 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 And they tend to be close questions. Like, don't you think? Because I'm expecting now a yes, no, and it's going to be yes. Of course you're right, Papa, or whatever. Like, yeah, it's good. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that was
So
nice and rosy. That was a nice little paint job. You put some lipstick on the pig. It looks good. I like it.
excellent. So would you like to, are you ready to share
Yeah,
what
mine's a little darker.
spurred
Mine's a little
yours?
darker. So what you see is what you get. Uh, I was trying to normally I jot a few things down. I didn't get a chance to do that today. So when I was off going to pick up my kids today, I just like kind of like just sat with myself and just pretended I was speaking the first 5 minutes. It was really good. I don't know where it is anymore. Anyways, so the gist of this, so when we focus on something in particular, it tends to kind of have a bigger impact on our life, and we tend to see more of that stuff around us. So what we focus on, we see more of. That's that's how I see things, and that's how I believe things to be. And if you don't like what you see, it's like a kind of wake up call to like look around, like what am I focusing on if I don't like what's around. So this weekend, I don't know if you heard this, there's kind of news in this neck of the woods, that Trump got shot.
Yes, we all heard
I'm sure you did.
this.
So I knew I shouldn't have, but I did anyways, and I clicked on the video and I watched the scenario. Now, it wasn't a big gory scene or anything. Like as far as an assassination attempt, it's pretty. It's on the good side, right? Like it wasn't that bad. However, the gunshots and the calamity and like the chaos stuff gets to me. And I knew when I clicked on the button that I shouldn't have clicked on the button, and I clicked on the button anyways. I watched it, and it set me off for the rest of the night. I didn't sleep well, and I just thought about this stuff over and over again. What does this mean? Blah blah blah. And I went down a hole that I don't like to go down, and it's a similar hole that I've been down before. I don't know if we were friends during the Vegas shooting thing that happened.
Oh, I don't think so. I think that might have been
It
before.
might have been just pre us. Um,
Yeah.
and I did the same thing. I clicked on the button. Had to go off media for like a month. I couldn't go on social media or anything. I just had to like bury myself, or hide
Okay.
myself from everything else. So, um, and ever since I've clicked on that, of course, the algorithm with YouTube is really good at giving you more of what you wanted, right? So I had lots of opportunities to see more stuff, more detail, more conversation about it, whatever. I didn't like that. The day after the incident, I ended up being able to do a process for myself that was really quite helpful, and it got me out of that, out of the
Out of the
spiral aspect
spiral.
of it, yeah,
Yeah.
and it got me into more of a balanced place, and I was able to make better decisions. And I actually thought that the YouTube algorithm is a really good um, uh, example of what you're focusing on, you see more of, because
And it can be used for good or evil, can't it, really?
it's 100% that way, right? So I'll see probably like 60% or 70% of what I've clicked on recently as the predominant theme, and then the other things that I've been into in the past or whatever will be more smattering around. But the more I watch those other things or listen to those other things, the better I feel, and the more stuff it starts to uh, realign itself.
Well, this is the point of algorithms, right? It's literally feeding back what you've already fed into it. So if you fed in, I want to be watching this kind of thing, it's just a reflection back.
Yeah.
There's no feeling on it.
No. So this is just, it's for me, it's a reminder too that these are things that I don't enjoy. And I don't need to spend my time here. There is literally nothing I can do that resolves any of that situation at all. I have zero influence, but I can influence where I stand, what I'm watching, and what I am absorbing into my system. And
I'm curious.
that's empowering.
I'm curious to know, there's multiple layers there though. So how did you make sure that that stopped filtering through all the layers? Because that situation is quite complex and
Correct.
there's multiple layers of chaos
Yes.
in that 1 minute of moment in
Right.
time. And particularly the way the media showed it, well, here in Australia, and I'm sure it's much the same for you, it there was like multiple levels of question marks and chaos. So that would be multi-triggering.
Based on the process I did the following day, I got some insight into myself that was really helpful. Um, and it centers around the familiar sounds, familiar noises. So there's something to do with, I'm guessing, the gunshots and the screaming that is probably the things that are the most triggering for me. And I don't want to go into that too deep here. However, once I was able to like tap into that,
Identify
yeah,
the trigger.
it
Yeah.
allowed me to be able to see other stuff with less triggered emotion.
So it allowed you to move back a little bit and become a bit more observant rather
Yeah,
than
yeah, I was
reacting.
right. And when I feel like I've learned something or I've gained some insight into myself, it gives me back some feeling of, or some semblance of control, where I'm able to be the chooser, and I'm not just being force fed stuff that I can't handle.
Or that you constantly have reactions to. Because this is the thing, isn't it? It's this constant reaction and it's thrown at you. Yeah, yeah. The choice is really minimal when we are looking at whether it's YouTube or any kind of social media platform where you've got the algorithm choosing it on your behalf.
It's choosing it on your behalf, but you have input into it
Yep.
by your focus. So it's I just think it's interesting now that social media does this for us in a way that is provides us a really accurate reflection of what we're paying attention to. Before this, you would have, let's say you have, like, you're outside in the real world, like having experiences with humans. If you're, let's say, at the office, if you're focused on that jerk who's always doing stupid stuff to you at the office or whatever, that's where you pay your attention. Then you go sit off in somebody else's office and you complain about Joe Blow. So like you have your input into the system, into the whatever, the matrix or whatever, the algorithm of life, you're putting that information out there, and then you see more of that, you see, and it just kind of like snowballs.
It does. Yeah. Absolutely. It snowballs. Gee, painting's going to be hard. Really need to stop saying that.
No, but it's habitual and you can't change, you can't see, you can't stop what you so, but now that you know that, you can make a different choice moving into whatever, the next room or the next day or the next whatever,
That's right. Next section.
the next second.
Pre like go, oh well, if there is an element of truth in that painting is hard, I mean, it seems to be about 50% of the population find painting hard and the other 50% love it. I personally like it. But
What do you like about painting?
oh, I love the meditative space I go into, particularly when I'm doing very intricate, like skirting boards or that sort of thing, where it's really quite particular and small. Um, and it takes a lot longer, where my husband tends to like doing the rolling of the big walls and the ceiling. But I'm like, and it was funny yesterday, we were talking about the painting because that's the topic of
Yeah, it's
conversation.
predominant in your life.
Yes. And he was saying, "Oh, Saturday's going to be really easy. This is the perfect thing, right? Oh, we just do the rolling. I'll like wash the walls, two coats of paint. We're good to go." And I went, "Hang on, there's some other bits that have to be done here as well in between the rolling." "Oh yeah, you got to do all the cutting in, don't you? And you got to kind of do the borders so that I know where to do the rolling." I went, "Yeah, there's that." And he was like, "Oh, so his reality, super easy. Just a couple of rolling and he's sorted." Where I was like, okay, that yes, I like the meditative space that I go into, but I was also taking into consideration that that would take me longer and it would make the day stretch out, and we would, having the day and a half instead of just one day is going to be ideal, because I think he's going to be doing some rollering on Sunday, not all of it on Saturday.
Mm.
But his perception of it was it's really easy because of what he chose to see, that it was just the rollering. That's it. And so I thought that was a really cool example of he saw it as simple and easy. And I was like, oh, this is going to take longer and it's potentially going to be harder.
Mhm.
But my actual, when I'm in the moment of painting or the hour of painting, I just love it. I love being able to get the paint to do what I want it to do. I like that sort of control of making sure that it goes exactly where I want it to go. That's the part I really love about painting. Uh, so yeah, yeah, we both of us individually created a truth about it, and now we have to kind of meet in the middle somewhere. So he needs to come away from the yay, it's super easy, because he'll forget that I have like these other elements that have to get done. So if he can take that into consideration, then he's going to be more helpful to me. And if I can release a little bit of that, it's really hard, and build in some breaks maybe in between so that I'm not having to do the entire bedroom and then outside the bedroom, because there's a little bit of a hallway and you've got to get that bit done and goes around to the front door and you have to do that bit as well. Like, I could maybe break it up.
Chunk it down a little bit more.
So yeah, so I think there's this element of so this was another thing that I thought was kind of cool about this conversation would be, it's not, even though I'm sitting here saying, yes, I'm making the painting hard. So if I put that expectation in, that's what my contribution is, but also not making it the complete extreme of the other side there, where it goes, oh, it's just easy. It's only going to take us 5 minutes. Well, that's also not reality. Finding something in the middle.
It's funny that you want to find something in the middle between you and Renz.
Always.
But now this is helping Ian guy, not the coach guy. So he's like, why can't you find a meeting in the middle with yourself between your hard and your easy? Your hard and your enjoyable with regard to this task.
Oh, because I think that this particular task, so I will often do that for me for things that I'm solely responsible for.
Mm-hmm.
But something like this, we are absolutely, it's a pair. We these rooms are not getting renovated with one of us missing. So last night, after we have late night shopping here on a Thursday night, so off we went out to have dinner out because we've just been so in the house, and the house is a nightmare. Seriously, I'm not even going to start on that. So anyway, we went out and we came home, and we got home about 7:30. I'm like, right, we have to get that sanding done. Where's that extra bogging that you want to do? And then of course he found 3 other areas that had to be done, and so I didn't do the undercoating and painting until after 9 o'clock. Not ideal on a Thursday night for me. However, when we'd finished, I said to him, well, I was really grateful. Thank you for doing all the sanding today, because I don't know that I'm going to get it anywhere near the painting tomorrow, so that let me get that job done. And I said, and he's like, oh, Chris, I couldn't have done it if you hadn't pushed me. So it's a constant team effort from both of our sides. So I think that's why I always want to find the middle between him and I.
Makes sense.
When it comes to painting. Because he's always balanced me out too. So maybe I use him a little bit to bring me back from the hard. Because he does tend to do things with a little less a little less, not harshness, but hardness. I always have a little bit of seriousness, more serious than he is. So he lightens it. And I think after this many years, I probably make use of that.
Yeah, that's smart.
So are you able to, I want to get back to your story because I'm curious to know how you're now feeling about this circumstance, because what I can hear so far is that you went, yep, I don't need to go there anymore. Has the algorithm on YouTube changed yet?
No, because I think some of my physical curiosity wants to hear more to a degree. But because I was able to balance myself out the following morning, it made things easier to watch. And so I'm able to zoom out more and see stuff on a more like a curious level, as opposed to like doom and gloom and I don't like how I feel inside and all that other stuff that happened. Um, yeah.
But is it something you feel like you have to now avoid YouTube for the next month?
No, because like I said, the Vegas one, even though there was nothing I was physically seeing, it was all in the sounds and what I heard and what's in my head afterwards. Um, that one I felt like I needed to disconnect altogether, but I think that was just a coping mechanism to try to like feel better about like for myself. Um, but because the process I did was so more or less quickly after what happened, I felt like okay, I could rejoin society, sort of. Actually, I had a similar scenario watching the movie Saving Private Ryan. The
Oh,
Tom Hanks,
more lots of gunshots and
yeah, the scene on the beach that happens basically at the beginning of the movie. I was like this the whole time, and I loved the movie, but I hated how I felt.
right.
So it's a similar experience, and I've always thought of my grandfather, um, because he was in the war and he would have experienced some of this stuff, and it always brought me back to that. So I'm assuming there's a connection there that I hadn't related to this, but being able to ground myself and be able to step back and see things from a more observant, less judgmental space serves me so much better.
Yeah, I mean, we know that happen, that it will always serve you better. Like that's you and I've talked about that so many times just in our conversations, let alone in our lives. Interesting for me, I think, for the painting is that I'm going to make sure that I stay really present with how I'm feeling when I'm doing it
Mhm.
rather than pushing through. Because if I stay present with how I'm feeling and it's starting to get a bit rough around the edges, maybe I'm getting rough around the edges, the paint could be getting rough around the edges. I need to actually go, okay, take a break,
and,
being
and
present with how I'm feeling.
and I think that's part of that, what you focus on you see more of. So if you're seeing that you need a break but you push through, if you listen to yourself and listen to what you need, it's going to serve you in a much better fashion than if you push through and persevere and like all that stuff that people tend to do, the whole macho man kind of whatever.
Overachieving, have to prove that I can get it all done. Yeah, because I've kind of set myself a limit, which is ridiculous because the reality is that we've still got another 2 or 3 weeks before we're going to be moving into those rooms. So really,
Self-imposed deadlines. We did this one now.
we have done this one before. So if it doesn't happen, like I'm putting a bit of pressure on our supplier for our some of the items going into the ensuite itself. Uh, but really, it's really just going to happen when it's going to happen. If they haven't got the stock in, well, the stock's going to eventually come in.
Mhm.
We do have a second bathroom in our house, so
You'll manage.
we'll manage. We're not out on the street, and it'll happen as it happens. So it's keeping those things in mind when you get caught up in the spiral of, oh, it's hard, or I'm having a major reaction, and being able to step out of that reaction.
Yeah. 100%.
Yeah.
Cool.
Well, what an interesting topic today.
Yeah, two sides of a way different coin.
That's part of the fun.
But still relevant. Cool.
Yes.